Greetings, everyone. I'd like to reason with the women in this video. First and foremost, we have selective memory. Secondly, we choose when we want to be vulnerable and yet expect people to always know when to see us as vulnerable. So, for example, at certain times, we want the man to go forward. We want him to take the lead. And then we say that we are women, we're strong, we don't want to be dominated. We give this double message. I want to be respected, and sometimes behave in ways that it's difficult for anybody to respect us. As women, we make choices in our lives, and we refuse to take responsibility for those choices. When the result is not favorable, we try to play victim. And we expect the whole world to fall at our feet and feel pity for us, feel sorry for us. But when we're making the decision as women, if someone tried to talk you out of certain decisions, you say, I have a right to my own body, which you do, a right to my own decision, which is right. But when the time comes and the result is not favorable, you expect the whole world to then come with you. Now, for example, in the world of dating and relationship, when we're making these choices, there's absolutely no way anyone can stop you from making that decision if you decide. And it doesn't matter how many red flags we see, we excuse it away. And when things go bad, instead of taking yourself off into your little closet and examining the decisions you made and the consequences for those decisions, we all have to be here crying out here with you. Now, I'm including myself. I have made choices in my life and decisions in my life that when I look back now, I'm thinking, slapping myself and saying, wow, that was very foolish. And even risk and decision that I have made that might have worked out for me in the long run, it was a great risk. I was expecting a certain result, making a decision based on a whim. And thank goodness for me, it worked out. But for many women, you see, for example, going to Jamaica, meeting a complete stranger who tells you, I am in love with you after your first encounter. Now, it can work. It has worked for many people. But the truth is, we are marrying men to get to know them. See, we're supposed to get to know them before we marry them. And after we marry them, after a month, after 2 months, especially nowadays, again, we are talking about this age gap relationship, whether it be male or female. And we're not having realistic expectations of these, age gap situations. You got people 15, 20, 30, 10 years, as is my case. Okay? But guess what? I had time to think it through. I did have a plan, a risky plan nonetheless, but I had a plan. I had true expectations. And some of the decision we make as older women, the expectation is not real. You cannot be 55 years old or 60 years old and going out with a 21 or 30-year-old young man and expect that you're going to get married and go off into some fantasy land to live. You're a young girl and you're dating a guy, and from the very beginning, he's showing that he has violent tendencies. But you say you are so special that he is not going to do the terrible thing he did to the other ladies. You're exempted. I'm not sure what you feel you have to offer, but you feel that the patterns he exhibited in the past and start showing with you while you're dating is not going to continue when you get married. It's just going to disappear. Your love is so great that it's going to go away. It's going to change. Listen, and this goes for men too. I don't want to harp on the men here because men have problems with women too. And I see it clearly that the young girls, young ladies nowadays, they're vicious. They deliberately get involved with men that they don't want. They will do things to get your money. They would plot and scheme and play to be so innocent. And they're not interested in you. They're having you and other men. That's not to say, that all women are loose and there are no young women nowadays that, are virtuous. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that they have seen the other women around them cunning in their ways of dealing with men, and they have learned it. All the negative things you see now in our young people, they learn it from the adults around them. So this is not to demonize the young people. They are a product of their environment. Women, you have your children, you're a single mother, and you might have 3, 4 kids with different fathers. At some point, you would think that it would register in your mind that, listen, whether my choice in men are bad or wrong, I'm just going to focus on taking care of me. Every time a relationship ends, you don't jump from one relationship to another. Not only does that make you loose, but that makes you somebody who didn't learn from your previous mistakes. And when you're a mother and you have girls in your household and you're jumping from one relationship to the next, the problem is no longer about that terrible man that you meet. It's about you. They say men ain't ish, but you aren't either if you cannot keep your heart closed and under control. But even when you're married, in the Bible it says, the marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. There are times, even the same scripture says you have to take time away from each other in that physical way to find spiritual discernment. So there's really no excuse for you to be hopping from one bed to the next. And what I don't understand with some of these women, you have no shame. You put it out here like it's normal. When you have girls, you got to be careful how you live your life. Otherwise, you're setting them up to go make the same mistakes you make. And you got children and you are with these loose men who have no self-worth, who have no shame. They will come into your household and see you're a single mother and eat out your children's food. I've seen that. Men plot and scheme how they're going to turn up when the woman collect her welfare check, turn up when she gets her child tax credit. Adult men will turn up with all kinds of problem, and if they're in Jamaica, heavens help you, and they find out that you're getting these assistance, they will come with their storyline every time you get paid. And it's not about that man. He doesn't know you. He doesn't care about you. He just wants your money. What about your children that you claim to love? You love your children, and you take your children's bread and cast it to the swine or to the dogs. Literally. Some of these men have 3, 4, 5 women who they know are single parents because they say once you're a single parent, you always have money because you have to feed your kids. And they don't have a problem taking your child's bread. But the problem is not them, it's you, woman. Get so desperate. You got to have a buck, in your pen. And you don't know that the children watch and see. And sometimes when they grow up and they're resentful towards you, it's because they see how they barely have any food in the house, and yet you have money sending to man in Jamaica. Give it to man in the community where you live, and your children go without. We have to change. We have to do better, ladies. And we have to stop making ourselves into such victims when we're deciding to make these choices that don't work out. And then we all get to tell people about it and cry about it and expect people to feel sorry for ourselves. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and making better decisions, and stop using the internet to air your dirty laundry, and learn from it. And if you want to share it with somebody, fine. But it makes you look very H-ish or double H-ish. Okay? When you're saying men ain't nothing and yet you are accommodating them, you're just as bad or loose as them. Stay blessed, everybody.